Howdy, howdy, and welcome back. It's that time. It's the first technically workshop Wednesday of the month, and that means it's an update. It's a what's new edition. So we're going to go through and take a look at all the different updates that happened in September. Before we go too far, welcome. This is your first Workshop Wednesday. My name is Chris Mercer. I'm the co-founder of a company called measurementmarketing.io, and whether you found us through podcasts and talks, through maybe some other platforms that we've shared a tiny bit of our content with, maybe you're already a full-fledged member over at measurementmarketing.io. And remember, we've got multiple levels of membership, including free memberships all the way up to the paid memberships as part of the academy. However you found us, we're happy that you're here. It's our job to help people just like you learn how to use all these tools, and that means staying up to date with the tools, which is why you should always watch these What's New workshops. They don't take very long, and they get you caught up on all the latest features, some of which you might want to start using in your own implementations. Of course, we have all this stuff in the Measurement Marketing Academy as well. Remember, there are free levels available if you just want access to the toolbox, all the way up through the academy that we have for marketers. We have academy for professionals, for measurement professionals. We've got the academy for agencies and teams. So no matter what level you're at, we have got something back there for you. But that's not why you're here today. Right now, you want to know all about what's new, the September 2022 updates. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with the framework. We always cover the framework. We plan, we build, we launch. That's a measurement marketing framework. Now, how we do that is important, but not as important as why. We use a framework because as marketers, we typically are marketing in the blind. And if you're not the marketer in your organization, your marketers are marketing in the blind. What they really want is to be able to use a system that just sort of generates revenue and profits as a byproduct, right? So how do you do that? Well, that's what measurement comes in. So you go plan, build, launch. How do we plan? We ask the right questions, results in how questions. We make sure we're collecting behaviors that are answering those questions. And most importantly, we think about the actions we're going to take based upon the answers we get. With that in place, with our measurement plan in place, we move on to our build where we can measure for the results. We then make sure the traffic is being properly identified, and we set up our setup so that there's a natural story that tells us which traffic sources are causing which specific results. Now, in today's workshop, some of those updates that you're about to see specifically to GA4 and with Data Studio will help you to improve your story. So that's where it's important to keep up to date on these workshops. Now, once you've got your story, you can actually listen to the trends and patterns. In other words, the conversation that's happening between the website and the users. You can forecast that based upon your trends and patterns. You can forecast your near future, and you can measure against your forecast, and that's how you know where to optimize. In other words, this is how you know where to focus your limited resources to get the most bang for the buck to move the needle so that you reliably grow revenue and profits. So that's the measurement marketing framework in a nutshell, and that is how you're going to apply today's training to it. Remember, specifically in the story section. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on guest instructor. All of you who are fans of the channel know Julie Brade. She's been with us for a long, long time, since 2017. She's been doing measurement, helping with clients. Been with us since 2015, actually, but training clients since 2017. Absolute rock star with Data Studio, tag manager, server side, GA4. She's in it all, and she is here to help you understand what the new latest updates are. So without further ado, Julie Brade, go ahead and take the stage.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Let's go ahead and jump straight into what's new for September 2022. And of course, we are starting with our good friend Google Analytics 4. So what are we seeing that is new from September? So first off, there are Easter eggs, as we're going to say, that you can find throughout, like little things that you can see in your reports. We'll talk about those in just a moment. But the biggest change that happened, like literally just a few days ago, is if you go into your data streams and you choose your data stream that you're looking for, you can go down to your configure tag settings, and then you will wait a moment for it to kind of figure itself out. You can show all. And the one that you're looking for is manage automatic event detection. This is the one we're looking for. So this is what's new inside of GA4 from September. If you happen to look at any of the documentation, we'll have the links down below this video. And you can see that it's actually, when the update that they gave, it says, oh, it's going to be under your enhanced measurement here. And if I click on here, I'm not seeing that form fill. So what actually it is, and I think they're rolling it out a little bit slower than what the documentation is saying, is that it is form interactions. So automatically, this is so stinking cool. It You automatically will record a form start, meaning when the user starts filling out the form, and obviously you can see what it could, these definitions for them filling out the form, and then a form submit. And so that's so cool that they're actually doing this automatically. But like I said, the documentation that it has, it's indicating that it's supposed to be under here, and it is not. It is still under your configure tag settings and automatic event detection. It's listed here. And so I assume over the next couple of weeks, it'll eventually make its way over here, or maybe they'll update their documentation and say like, "Ooh, we didn't mean it actually enhanced measurement. We meant under configure tag settings." So just kind of be aware that sometimes the documentation might be a little bit different from what you're actually seeing, and it's okay. They might have just pushed that a little bit too soon, and or we'll be seeing this the form. They're calling it the form interactions. We might be seeing those pop through here. Maybe they're slowly rolling it out. So you just kind of be aware of that. Um, you We probably won't turn them off, most likely, unless it's giving you a bunch of false positives. Very likely you won't turn them off, so it's really nice that they're automatically collecting that for us. So the other things that you might see if you go to your reports, and this is the stuff that constantly changes. So if we're going to go to a few different places. If you go to acquisition, and we have modified hours, like we just constantly teach this over and over and over again. We've modified hours for traffic acquisition because, again, remember traffic acquisition, or even just the default of what you're going to see here, traffic acquisition versus user. Most likely you're looking for traffic, not user. User is like their entire journey, multiple sessions, and most likely you're looking for whatever the last click is, meaning what it is that they are doing in that particular session. Was it the Facebook ad or was it the email? What it was that they're doing. So that's likely what you're going to choose. So that's just another pro tip. What you'll be seeing just over time is like these will be switching out. For source medium, it wasn't here by default. We would have to go and customize and all these other things to get source medium to pull up. So now session source medium, again, because we're wanting to know data about the session, we want to know how the user journeys through the session. That's what we want to choose and not user. And you'll see the same thing under pages and screens, or the page here. And so uh, you can just see these things constantly will change. And this is another one that we've modified. But you can also go through add the landing page and all these other things. So you're going to constantly see these things change. Same thing with any of these other reports. So if it wasn't here before and you always had to kind of modify and adjust it, check back. Maybe it's something by default and they're constantly improving that. So make sure you check that out too. And something else, just want to bring it to your attention, is Google Analytics 4 is definitely a platform that takes a little bit time to capture your data. And so we're going to just go into, we're just going to look at this little chart right here. What was happening on September 30th here on this particular date, September 30th, we're going to show this calendar here. September 30th, we had several people pop in and say, I have no data for the 29th. What happened? However, by the end of the day of the 30th, all the data for the 29th popped up. So what is happening, and it seems like it was mostly high traffic sites, that those sites with a lot of traffic, it's taking a little bit longer for that information to process. So don't expect to come in on the morning of the 30th and see all of your data from the 29th. And it says in the Google Analytics 4 documentation, like 24 to 48 or 72 hours. It takes a while for it to kind of go through and process. So don't worry that nothing's broken. If you see data from the 28th and you know you haven't touched anything on the 29th, just give it a few more hours. Possibly by the end of the day, and see if it starts popping up. The other thing you could do, obviously, is to go into your Google Tag Manager and go into your site and verify everything is still the same and everything's still working. If you're seeing everything fire, then you know it's likely just a delay of data coming through, and you should be seeing it by that evening or even the first of the following day. So that's just another really big pro tip. We saw a lot of people panicking and trying to figure out troubleshooting, and that wasn't the case. It was just a delay of the data getting there. All right, so that is your Google Analytics 4. Let's hop over to Google Tag Manager, and there's actually nothing that we have for Google Tag Manager, but just a reminder to always, always, always go through and look for any sort of templates and anything that could make your life easier. So we kind of remind you this every other month, just because sometimes it's easy to forget. So what you could go to your templates, and you can go through and search in the gallery, like for instance, we're going to look for TikTok. And the only ones we really see here is this one or the one that's meant for server side. And so I will continue to look for TikTok pixels because trying to set those up manually is a little bit of a pain, not as easy as some of these other ones like Facebook and stuff. So waiting for them to come up with a new one. And same thing with variables. You can always come here and search the gallery, see what is new. Maybe there's something like, oh, here's a data layer picker by our uh, favorite GTM king, Simo Ahava, the godfather of GTM. And so like, oh, that's kind of cool. What is he doing here? And then obviously we can go to his blog and figure out exactly what that one is. So always, always, always go to your template gallery just to kind of search. We have a task that we like to look at it for at least once a month to go through. And as you as measurement marketers probably should do the same just to see what's new and what's possible back there. And now you know my favorite tool of all, Google Data Studio. So let's see what is new here. So inside Data Studio, what we are now finally able to do, and I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit more to make this really obvious what this is. So normally when we come over here, this is what our um, tab was, our data tab here. And especially when we come down to these other ones, like if you remember the good old universal days where you had goal one and you had to hover and wait for it to pop up so you could see the name. Well, now we have this handy dandy little way to move the data panel. That's what they call it. The technical name is the data panel. We can move it out however far we want. We are not able to move this one yet. But the other cool thing is if we chose to have our left hand nav, so we're going to choose the left, you can do the same thing over here. So that's another really cool thing. So if we're in view mode, we can again choose however we want to do. So this like seems super simple, but for those of us that are inside of Data Studio all of the time and having to kind of hover or we're working on a smaller screen while we're traveling, this is really, really helpful. You can also do it with the version history. So if we want to see file and version history, if you popped this up, you would be able to do the exact same thing with navigating or moving this around and changing the sides of this. So this is very helpful, especially when you have lots of names that are really long and they seem really, you can't see the difference until you start hovering. And so that's really helpful. So that is the Data Studio update for September 2022. And then let's go into what is new with the Measurement Marketing Academy. So let's hop back into our tab and inside of your Measurement Marketing Academy. So this is the first page that you are going to see. And if you scroll down, you can see here's everything that we have coming up in the next several weeks. And we are here on this particular day, getting ready for the whole month of October. And as you can see, what we have upcoming is going to be the Google Analytics 4 Basics course, as well as a Plan, Build, Launch Bootcamp. So if you are looking for some accountability to learn Google Analytics 4, I highly encourage you to check your emails. We've been sending stuff out about that. Started yesterday, so check that out. And going into your win courses. So click on your win courses. The newest course that was added in September was win, retention, churn, stick, and cohorts. So if you're wanting to know about rebilling or how to kind of see, I want to use air quotes here, lifetime value, or trying to really understand what your users, your new customers are worth, because it's going to constantly change, then you can absolutely go through this course. And we even have a special spreadsheet in there that helps you calculate everything for you. You just have to get very specific numbers and you would be able to put that in there. So that is what is new inside the Measurement Marketing Academy. And now going for the coming soon, as we just mentioned, going back to our calendar here, we have our Google Analytics 4 basics coming up in the October, as well as when Google Data Studio Basics. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to actually, you guys are going to get to know about that before. So in October, when Google Analytics 4 Basics, and in November, when Google Data Studio Basics, because Data Studio, as you know, is constantly changing, and we're going to update our course for you so you know everything that there is to know about the Data Studio Basics. Also, your bootcamp, as we mentioned, plan, build, and launch GA4. If you're wondering if this is for you, it is for anyone who is either starting fresh with GA4 or migrating from Universal Analytics to GA4, or if you plugged in GA4 and kind of let it sit there and you're not sure what else you can do with it besides page views and everything that's automatically being collected. You absolutely want to go through here to see all of the magic that GA4 can do. So we'll help you plan it out. We're going to help you build, and you're going to launch, meaning learn how to use it, all the different reports, learn how to forecast and optimize inside of GA4. And that is it. I'm going to hand it back over to Mercer. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Julie. Again, oops, there we go. Sorry. Putting my slides up. Thanks, Julie. Teaching all this stuff, you guys know the drill. If you're already an Academy member, you've got access to the Measurement Marketing Academy as a Marketer Edition or above. You've got access to Ask an Instructor support, so you can ask Julie about any of these things to see how it can affect your own teams and your own measurement implementation. Of course, I would be remiss, as Julie pointed out, we've got that boot camp coming up for GA4. So if you happen to be watching this the first week of October in 2022, take advantage of the Academy if you haven't already. So what was your one thing? I think for me, it was those form submissions. Two reasons. One, it gives you another direction into naming conventions and hierarchy. They start with form, interaction, form, start, right? Just like they did with video, start, video, progress. And that's how they're naming things. So we are certainly changing how we're naming our custom events based on that, just to kind of fit in with that overall schema. So that was the biggest, besides the fact, I guess the second thing on forms is just the fact that they're doing it. I think that's really cool because they're making it a platform that does a lot of the heavy lifting on its own without Tag Manager. Now, do I think you shouldn't use Tag Manager? Of course not. You should definitely use Tag Manager. However, it's a great sign that they are expanding what GA4 can do natively, because it sort of shows like, hey, they get it. This is the questions that regular marketers ask. So why not work with a platform that does that? I know it's a little rough around the edges, even now, even in October 2022, but it is getting substantially better over time. So the sooner you get into it and learn it, the better it's going to be for you. Hence that boot camp. We obviously talked about the framework already. And how, think about the different aspects, even something simple like that data panel thing that she was showing, like that was so annoying for like the 2 months that they did that. But it's an incredible, it's an incredible just demonstration of how that team is listening and goes, yep, okay, we messed that up. Let's fix this and make it better. And they do. Lots of cool things. Now, next week's workshop is a getting started workshop, and we're going to be talking about how to use Google Optimize specifically with GA4. So if you want that workshop, just be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you haven't already, we are a little over 5,000 subscribers now. Thank you so much as we climb our way in popularity. Thank you again for all of those sharing. Those of you who are part of Measure Summit, thank you for being a part of Measure Summit and for sharing the channel there. It's been amazing. So thank you all for being a part of that. And of course, the other way to get all these workshops is the Measurement Marketing Academy itself. We've talked about numerous options. There's a free option that you can get called the Toolbox. It includes Workshop Wednesday plus a ton of tools that you can use for as long as you like. We do not restrict how long you have access to the Toolbox, though we do request that you use it. So every 90 days or so, you might get an email if it's like, hey, are you still using this thing? And if not, we'll free up space for somebody else. But if it's yours for as long as you want, right? Cannot emphasize that enough. Obviously, the other option is just to become an Academy member, full-fledged, either a Marketer Edition or above. You'll see all the different options that are available to you if you go to measure.tips GA4/Get Academy for both the free and paid versions. Just a heads up again, this is very time sensitive, so I apologize if you're watching this video slightly after this time frame. But if you are in the first week of October and you become an Academy member this week, we are giving you the GA4 Bootcamp as part of that, as kind of a bonus. And that Bootcamp we're selling just for a couple grand on its own. So it's absolutely worth joining the Academy. It's a ton of value there. Again, you get it for free as a new Academy member. So please take a second to join that. So with that, we will go ahead and bring this one to a close. This has been What's New, the September 2022 updates. Thanks again for watching this workshop, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.